Happy Memorial Day, St. Mark's! In addition to being Memorial Day on the secular calendar, today, May 31st, is also the visitation of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And today we remember the story from the Gospel where Mary goes to visit her cousin Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is pregnant with John the Baptist, and Mary is pregnant with Jesus. And John the Baptist leaps in his mother's womb, recognizing that Jesus, the Messiah, is there. Elizabeth responds with a text that became known as the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, which very famous prayer. And Mary responds to her cousin's greeting with the Magnificat, my soul magnifies the Lord. And these two texts are the basis for many, many, many pieces of music. Over the centuries, they've been used by hundreds of composers to write thousands of compositions. But I just wanted to mention them very quickly. I'm not going to focus on that today. Instead, I'm going to finish my series on music from the English Reformation, and I'm going to focus today on a composer called Orlando Gibbons. Orlando Gibbons was born in Oxford, England in 1583. Orlando's father, William, was an Oxford city wait. Now, a wait is a night patrolman who would go around town and play instruments or sing to let the townspeople know that they were, in fact, watching out for their safety so that they could sleep more restfully. William Gibbons later moved the family to Cambridge, England. And Orlando began his musical life singing in the chapel at King's College, Cambridge. Orlando eventually became a student at Cambridge, and he was what they called a Sizar, S-I-Z-A-R. And this was a student who received a tuition decrease or lodging or meals in return for doing some job for the university. He was known for making music, of course. This was his job. In 1603, we first see Orlando Gibbons' name written in the checkbook for the Chapel Royal. He eventually became a junior organist for the Chapel Royal in 1615 and became the senior organist by 1625, when Thomas Tomkins was listed as his assistant. I talked about Thomas Tomkins last week. After finishing his degree at Cambridge, Orlando Gibbons settled down and married a woman and moved to London. There is historical evidence that Gibbons was held in high regard by King James I. Gibbons may have received additional employment in the king's personal music forces. In 1629, it is recorded that Gibbons became, quote, one of His Majesty's musicians for the virginals to attend in His Highness's privy chamber, meaning he played the harpsichord for the king's enjoyment. On one occasion, the king even gave Gibbons a gift of £150 as thanks for his faithful and good service as organist to the Chapel Royal and for performing other musical duties for the court. This £150 back then converts to $37,608.55 today. After completing his D.Mus, his Doctorate of Music degree at Oxford in 1622, Gibbons became the organist of Westminster Abbey. In 1624, the French ambassador to England visited Westminster Abbey for a service, and he recalls, at their entrance, the organ was touched by the best finger of that age, Mr. Orlando Gibbons, and while a verse was played, the Lord Keeper presented the ambassadors and the rest of the noblest quality of their nation with the liturgy as it spake to them in their own language. The Lord's ambassadors and their great train took up all the stalls, where they continued half an hour while the choirmen, vested in their rich copes, with their choristers, sang 3 several anthems with most exquisite voices before them. Orlando Gibbons played the funeral of James I in March 1625, as he was both the organist of the Chapel Royal and Westminster Abbey. Gibbons died of apoplexy. He had a brain hemorrhage or a stroke. on Whitsunday or Pentecost, 1625. This happened to be June 5th that year, and he was with the royal court in Canterbury, the new court, waiting for the arrival of Queen Henrietta Maria to arrive from France. During his lifetime, Gibbons wrote a lot of music for Anglican services, both settings of our service texts and also settings of anthems meant to be sung within the context of Anglican worship. He also wrote madrigals, instrumental music for keyboard, and for instrumental ensembles. I've compiled another YouTube playlist for you that has examples of many of these different genres, from anthems to instrumental music to harpsichord music as well. I hope you'll give it a listen. I know it's Memorial Day and maybe you're bumming around looking for something fun and interesting to do. I hope you'll check out that playlist. And that's the end of my series on music from the English Reformation. I hope you are all having a happy Memorial Day, and I'll see you soon.
Uh-oh, you're evaluating my work.
I am.
Are you subscribed?
I will with the red button.
And give us a thumbs up.
I'm a fan, of course.